So onward we go through the Halloween series, and I am now at part 8, Halloween Resurrection. And my first complaint, as you can see on the board here, is there's just far too many syllables being used in the title of this film. Sorry, guys. It's all the room I had. But this is, as I said, part 8. Uh, Here we go. Um, I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag on this one, and I personally do think this is the worst Halloween film up to this point. I'm not sure who I would even suggest this film to, because I think fans of the film, like the original film or films that I enjoy, I don't know if they would really grab a whole heck of a lot great out of this film. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do a review for this film here. Now, it was directed by Rick Rosenthal. Now, for any Halloween film or Halloween fan, I'm sorry, out there, they should know that name by this point. He directed Halloween 2, which I actually really enjoyed. It was the first sequel in the series. I think it still stands up pretty well to this day. He did that one and came back to do the eighth part. He also did Bad Boys. Now, not the one with Will Smith, but the one with Sean Penn from like 1983, somewhere around there. I haven't seen that in a very long time. But he did films like that that were really good. And then he did this one here. Unfortunately, he doesn't really show off anything promising, unfortunately, from a director's standpoint that I see of anything that, oh, okay, like I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't see it anything great shining through in this film. Now, the story was done by Larry Brand. He had written other projects, but interesting to note, he was, in fact, Orson Welles' driver. And that's how, through Orson, I expect he got a break in to Hollywood. And then the screenplay was done by Brand along with Sean Hood, um, who yeah, he has written a number of things as well as including the remake of Conan. I haven't seen that one. I love the original one, but haven't seen that one. It looks like it may not be near as good. But Sean got his start working on David Lynch's Twin Peaks, which, in my opinion, has got to be one of the weirdest shows I've ever seen. I was really enjoying it, and then it just got almost too weird for me. But that's where he got his break. Supposedly, Aaron Kruger, who by this point had written Scream 3, um, he was given a chance to come in and do the screenplay. It was rejected, so they brought Hood in to work on the screenplay. But Kruger as well, who would go on to do The Ring as well, which was a big horror hit as well. Now, this one was released on July the 12th, 2002. So we're like right in the middle of summer here. We're kind of getting further and further away from Halloween, which isn't that when this is supposed to be set? Um, Now it had a budget of 15 million, or in 2026 it would be a budget of 27.5 million dollars, and it did okay at the box office. It grabbed 37.6 million, or in today's dollars, 2026, just over 69 million bucks. So it did okay. Jamie Lee in the previous entry wanted to return as Laurie Strode. But as I have read, there was a contract thing going on with Mustafa Akkad, who was the producer, that you couldn't kill off for sure Michael Myers' character in case there's a sequel. Um, so that's what they went with here. And Kevin Williamson, who was uncredited in the previous film, came in and rewrote the ending. Therefore, that's why it seems very tacked on. And I would say not good. Really, it just kind of does a bit of a dip there at the end, in my opinion. But in the sequel, this is what they go with, that ending. So, um, that's what they're going to go with. Now, Jamie Lee was contractually obligated. Is that the way to say it? She had to do the sequel to H2O. She had to do this one. So she wanted her character killed off in the very first scene so that she could not return again for another sequel. Well, she does return when in like the third or fourth timeline. Um, but Jamie Lee, as I read, she considers this film a joke. Um, I agree. As I said, I think this is the worst Halloween film up to this point in the series. Um, I'm gonna say go as far as saying this is a stinker. This film, John Carpenter even said this film made him cringe and gave him gas. I say, let it out, Johnny, let it out. That's pretty funny. Now getting into the story, here we go. So at the beginning of the film, the story shows Lori. She's now in the, I guess, the local loony bin. Um, what for? Well, we're gonna get to that in a second. Maybe I, I was like half asleep through this whole film, and then actually I did fall asleep and then woke up. I think I slept through two kills. Like that's how uneventful this film was for me. Um, but anyways, in the hospital here, we see that she's not taking her drugs. She's been waiting for Michael to return. Okay. So what happened at the end of H2O is she did not, in fact, behead Michael. She beheaded someone else. Michael had switched spots with a paramedic. Um, okay. Wow. So she cut off the paramedic's head, but he crushed his larynx so he couldn't speak. Um, Meanwhile, like the only thing he did was like this. I'd be like waving my arms everywhere, like making noise, something, to grab their attention. Okay, whatever. If I'm supposed to believe this. Um, so she killed a paramedic. Michael's still alive. He like watched it all and then walked away. Like, okay, whatever. Um, I find this ending, or really it's coming from the beginning of this film, doesn't really show Laurie or Michael their characters really enough respect. As in for Michael, like this would be his seventh film by this point. For Laurie, she was in the original Halloween 2 and then H2O, so that's three films she's been in. Um, it's not really showing them respect or understanding of those characters very well by writing that ending. I thought it was a really stupid ending or a stupid beginning to ruin what you would think is the end of Michael Myers, but no, it's not. Not even close. So he returns to this hospital to kill her 3 years later. Okay, once again. And then because of what happened and she was aware of that and maybe that's why she's in this hospital, although like I question, everybody should know sorry, who she is, what she's been through the fact that that was her brother, the fact that he switched places with a paramedic, so she unknowingly killed someone. Okay, or is she in there for some other reason? Because she stole the ambulance or the coroner's van, whatever he was in. Okay, but that all should make sense. Anyways, but she's aware that she killed this paramedic, so she has to be sure it's Michael. So she's going to reveal his face to the crowd. What does he look like? Lori went all stupid here. And of course, he grabs her. They fight. They're then hanging off the edge of the hospital on this cord. Um, he stabs her and then flings her to her death, and she's dead within 10 minutes of the beginning of this film, I think. Um, and yeah, no more Halloween films for Jamie, or maybe not. She will return again, and those are down the road here. Hopefully, soon enough, I'll be reviewing those as well. So, does Michael then go after his nephew? I mean, um, Laurie's son, who was in the previous film. We just need to pretend, I guess, that he doesn't exist in any way, or Michael doesn't care that he exists. Okay. Um, so the main focus of this film is around this internet show that I think it's six people. They're going to get into the show, and of course, it's three males, three females. And what happens is these people are put in the house of Michael Myers, the Myers house, um, overnight. Um, look around in this house. Anyways, the show was put on by, I think his name is Freddie Harris, and I played by Buster Rhymes. So they're bringing in another rapper, as well as Tara Banks, model. She was in some other stuff like Coyote Ugly, I think. Um, but they're the ones running the show. I don't have anything wrong with Tyra Banks in this film, but Buster Rhymes, um, he may, by the end of this film, be one of the more annoying Halloween characters in a film. And the fact that he survives, it's almost like Tina in part five. Um, boy, this guy should have died. He didn't. He like saves the day and everything, I think, in the end. And oh boy, he's even dressed up as Michael Myers at one point with Michael Myers. They're like he's talking to him, and like right there, that would be an interesting death if Michael Myers then killed him under his own costume, kind of thing. That would be cool, but no, they didn't do that. They didn't go that way. They didn't go there. Um, but yeah, Buster Rhymes is in this as the guy putting on this show. Um, so yeah, and I would say like when the film came out, because it's about this internet show that people are on as reality TV, which is, it still exists. Of course it does. But when it came out, this may have been rockingly modern. Like this is so modern, but when I watch it now and the technology that's used, and I'm not a tech guru or anything, but it seems very dated, and for the wrong reasons it's dated. And sometimes films that are dated are great. They're very much a part of the time they came out, and this one is, and not for the right reason. Um, but that's what I would say about the whole plot, or like the whole story of this Michael Myers film. Anywho, the main character of this film, her name is Sarah Moyer, played well, I would say, by Bianca Kajlich. I hope I pronounced her name right. Um, I think she actually does really well. I don't like this film, but she does really well. I got nothing to say wrong about her in this. And in my opinion, she kind of gets away scot-free in being in this because she's not annoying or connected to Michael Myers in any way. And nobody by the end of this is, beyond definitely Buster Rhymes is, and not for the right reasons. Um, yeah, but she escapes that in my mind, and that's okay. So on the show as well are her friends. Yes, her friends. Jen, played by Katie Sackhoff. She later was in some Star Wars stuff. Um, and then her other friend Rudy, played by Sean Patrick Thomas. Try not to think too hard as to why these three people that know each other, I think they all go to college together, are all on the same internet show. Unless they're all from Haddonfield, which it seems like they are, and I didn't know Haddonfield was as big as it's coming across in this one. Um, but anyways, they're all on the show together. The other three are Donna, played by Daisy McCracken, Jim, played by Luke Kirby, and Bill, played by Thomas Ian Nicholas. Um, and in this, with these characters, it seems like Bill wants to get with Jen, and she's like, no way. Jim wants to get with Donna, and she's like, ooh, you're so limp brained, but just give her another scene or two, no more than that. And her shirt's going to come off for sure. Just diving into the oversexed, brainless, having fun youth that are in horror films. And hey, I'm not saying for a second that doesn't work or that cannot work. It worked in the original Halloween. I love that film. But I don't know. Like it's ugh, you just keep going back to this well all the time in these films. And then Sarah also has an internet friend named Deckard, um, played by Ryan Merriman. Um, he, I thought he was like a year or two younger than her, but then when I'm like looking it up and everything, he's supposed to be like 14 years old and she's like 22. I'm fine with that. Um, no problem with that. They have a relationship very much online. They've never met. Um, he when she's in the house, he's watching it online. This is I didn't like this. It seemed very um amateurish. Um, to me, the way it was filmed and the way it looked and everything, because him and his buddy they go to this Halloween party, and while they're at the party, this guy um just wants to watch this internet show, so he goes into this room with this computer hooked to a big TV and watches it. And within no time, everyone at the party's in there with him, watching this internet show, watching everyone die and everything. And he's like on the phone with her, helping her out and everything. It seemed very, I don't know, driven to high school kids. And I apologize to any smart high school kids out there, but it just sort of like, I don't know, dumbed down like the progression of these characters. And by the end of the film, these two don't even meet each other. So like I know he helped her out through her getting away from Michael in the house, but it's just sort of like, what was the point of him being in the film if they don't even meet each other at the end? Or was it in there and filmed and they, for some reason, they took it out? It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, they don't even meet. And as I said, I was fine with him being 14 and her 22. It actually makes things a little maybe more interesting. So that, in the end, she's like, okay, you're 14 and yeah, thanks a lot. We can be friends. Like, that's that, leave it at that and leave maybe this character understanding that or wanting more but not getting it, whatever. But they don't even meet. So it's what was the point of any of this? And then in the end, I really didn't give a rat's ass. Maybe I did because I wanted something more. So I'm giving you some suggestions here, but I wasn't giving enough of a rat's ass watching it to really invest anything beyond that, beyond boy, this should have maybe done that, and maybe that would have been better, and just okay, move on. What's in the next scene here? Um, as well, when they're in the house, clues are found in there about Michael Myers, and if you're watching this or have seen the film that these things are set up in there. There's no way these things would be in this house since not 1963, like 1958 or earlier. Like they're just still sitting in this closet. There's no way. Um, and they would have been set up by Buster Rhymes, his character, um, in setting up this show. Excuse me. Got kind of got the hiccups here. Um, but yeah. Um, but we know, and we've seen it in the original film, Michael always comes home. And by this point, we're now in part eight. Michael Myers' home is still standing. They haven't burned it down or ripped it down, torn it down, anything. It's still standing. Looks like it should be pushed over. But Michael comes home, and guess what? They're doing this internet show, so he starts going through and killing the people in his old home. Gonna sit back because the Michael was played in this one by Brad Lorry, and I don't think he does a terrible job as Michael. He does okay. He's not off the map. He's not too left, too right, anything. It's Michael actually is working in this thing, but everything around Michael doesn't work that well. It's very subpar to I can say anything before it, for sure. Because I I think I've said this already. I think it was poorly filmed and at times poorly acted by some of the people in it. Um, Generally, a film I don't like this much. The acting is maybe a little bit better, but it's once you get to that party, it's just like some of the acting's like, oh my, we couldn't do another take on that one. I don't know. It just seemed didn't work for me. That party atmosphere, that whole thing. And then seeing a picture showing static or being shaky, that doesn't scare me. I guess they were in that whole Blair Witch Project thing going on. That's a guess. That was only what a few years before this. Maybe they're still on to that, but that doesn't scare me. And then one thing I didn't realize when watching this, before watching this, I've seen this before and I forgot. Haddonfield has a university. And how big is Haddonfield, by the way? And how long has the university been there? It looks like a pretty big campus, very large class that we're in there. Um, Interesting to note the professor in that scene, that's actually the director, Rick Rosenthal. That's interesting to note. But anyways, there's a university in Haddonfield, and then there's some weirdos in this character in this film as well. They're generally in one scene, and then we move off of them and move on with the film. One weirdo in particular where I was like, "Whoa, man! Whoa, okay." This whole thing is getting odd here. It's when Sarah and Jen, I think they find out they're on the show. So they're like in their room. So by the way, I think they're roommates as well and going to college, or this university, sorry. They're talking about that. And then this super weird guy walks by. I guess they're living in the dorms, although I don't think this is their first year either. Anywho, he walks by, goes up, walks into the room, and talks to them about Michael Myers, because that's what they're talking about. Right there as well, right by the door, someone is like airing out their undies on a hanger of something just hanging there, like right beside the guy. Meaning, like anybody walking down the hallway could. see them there. Anyways, he then proceeds to like handle one of them while talking. It was pretty weird. And I think Jen gets up and closes the door on him. So I'm assuming those are her undies. Not that it matters. It was just a weird scene. I think aiming towards a certain age group. I don't know, but it was just weird. And then I found it weird when we get into the house, the Myers house. Sarah seems to think there might should be maybe some power in the house. So she like flicks on the lights a couple times, or was she just seeing, hey, is there power? Like, I don't know if anybody's lived in that house since like 1963 or 73 or something. Like, it's been a very long time. There shouldn't be any power in that house because nobody's paying for it. So, yeah, thought that was kind of funny. Now, the mask in this one I thought was better than the previous installment. And maybe the mask that was in, I think, part five, I wasn't a big fan of either. This one seemed to be better, or maybe it was in the shadows more, so it looked better like that. But, um, so I wasn't totally down, meaning offside with the mask. It seemed to work okay for me. And then the music is okay in this film as well. They definitely are going back to the Carpenter theme a lot more hardcore than they were in the previous entry. But at the same time, there's a lot of rap and hip hop tracks in this. If those music styles are right up your alley, maybe the soundtrack's something you would really like. They aren't for me, as you can see. I got an Aussie shirt on. I'm more into uh, guitar stuff or metal for sure, but that's not all. But like, um, I can go all the way into country. Like, I'm definitely more into guitar-driven music, um, say than that. But there's a lot of that in this film. And Halloween through the years has had definitely had songs in their films like "Don't Fear the Reaper" in the original or "Mr. Sandman," just to name a couple of the more popular songs in there. But this one's got a very large soundtrack, a lot of songs in this one. And it's probably way larger than any, maybe all the other films combined. This one's got a soundtrack bigger than all of them, all of the other films. So it's a big soundtrack. And this one had a body count of 10, which by this time that seems like a low body count to me. So I didn't remember this. It seems like Halloween's got a lower body count, in than maybe some of the Friday the 13th films. Some of them had big ones, like Jason X seemed to have like 25 people died in that thing, but those characters were terrible. They're not great here either. But yeah, seems like something I didn't remember or pick up on. It seems to be a lower body count, but there you go. But there you go. There you have it. That's Halloween Resurrection. Didn't like it. That's okay there. Maybe there's some fans of this film out there, and maybe even somebody out there watching this is totally disagrees with everything I say. And they say, you know what, that is the best Halloween film. And you know what? You have that right. You have that right to believe that and think that, um, and stand by that opinion. So the next one I'll do, I will get into the Rob Zombie remakes. There was two of them, Halloween, Halloween 2. Gonna rewatch them. Yeah. So it might be a little bit because I'm gonna go through those and then I'm gonna go through the last three that came out through Blumhouse, I think. Jamie Lee Curtis returns again. And then I'll go through them and do a review of each of them. So there's still five more Halloween films to go, guys. Been through eight. Trying to pick up the pace here again and get them out a little bit quicker than I have been recently. I do apologize for that. But, anyways, That's it. So until next time, guys, stay scared out there.